Welcome to the Wealthy Woman's Podcast, a podcast for high-achieving women who are great at making money but struggle to build wealth. You'll learn how to take control of your money, increase your net worth, and make more. Ladies, it's time to create a life with more money and more freedom. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. So today we are going to talk about what to do to get back on track after you've overspent. Listen, I am speaking from experience. There have been many times when I had to get myself back on track after overspending. And I recently sat down and really took myself through a process. And I thought, my podcast listeners probably really benefit from this. So that is why I'm sharing it with you all today. Okay. But before I get into it, I do want to remind you that this coming Saturday, July 29th at 10 a.m. Eastern, I am hosting the Save 2K in 2 months workshop. This workshop is all about getting ourselves in gear when it comes to saving money on a consistent basis. The whole goal of this workshop is to help you end 2023. We're pretty much halfway through, but it's not too late. I want to help you end 2023 with way more money than you started it with. And starting by saving 2K is the perfect amount to really get you going. And then from there, you'll keep going and going and going. And eventually you'll have more than enough, more than 6 months of spending or expenses in your account. There's so much freedom to have money in the bank, knowing that if you need to put your hands on several $1,000s, you are able to do that. There's this statistic that says 56% of Americans could not cover a $1,000 emergency with cash. And I don't want that to be your story. And so that is what this workshop will be all about. We're really going to dig deep into why it's so hard for you to save anyway, right? I hear it all the time. Jermaine, sometimes, I'll save if I get a bonus or a tax return or some sort of windfall. And then before I know it, I've spent it all, right? So we're going to talk about why it's so hard to save. And we're also going to talk about how to just retrain your brain so that you're saving on a consistent basis. We're also going to look at different strategies that you can use to save money. Everybody's different. Everybody is motivated by different things. So I'm going to share several strategies with you during the workshop. And then I'm also going to talk to you about how to really take what you learn, start right then and there, and to continue to follow through so that you can see a noticeable difference in your net worth, in your savings account by the end of this year. And saving 2K in 2 months will go a long way with helping you do some amazing things and reach some really big goals that you may have for yourself. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get into the episode. So like I said earlier, I took myself through this process and I really thought that it would be valuable for you all as well. So that is why I'm sharing it here. So how to get back on track after you've overspent. So the first thing you want to do is to really just become aware of the overspending and what triggered it. Become really conscious of it. Sometimes when we're in an overspending mode, we are very unconscious about it until we maybe look at our credit card statements or we look at our bank account and we're just like, oh my God, what have I been doing? What is going on here? So the first thing you have to do is just become aware of the fact that you've been overspending. And the definition of overspending in my terms is this: to spend more than you wanted to or planned to spend. So anytime you're spending more than you really want to, you're kind of spending against your will, then that is when you're overspending. So that's the first step, is just to become aware of it and ask yourself what triggered it. Like, really become aware of the trigger. It could be anything. It could be, the fact that you're about to go out of town, or the fact that you had friends in town, or you had a bad day at work, or whatever. But just become really aware of the trigger. So the second thing you want to do is trace your thinking. What were you thinking when you spent that money? right? What were you thinking? So remember your action. So overspending is an action. And when you do something, you're doing it because of something that you're feeling. And you're feeling that way because of something that you're thinking. And so if you can just get really clear with, okay, why am I doing this? And you can get the thoughts and the feelings that caused you to overspend. So one of the exercises that I do whenever I want to kind of find out more about my behaviors or find out more about my thinking or about the way I feel, I'll do something called a thought download. So at the top of the page, I would ask myself a question. So for this instance, I would ask, you spent $1,000 on clothes. Why? And then I would let myself write and write and write, maybe for 5 minutes or so. And then you're going to answer that question, and it's going to reveal a lot about what's going on inside and why you're overspending. The knowledge that you gain from doing this exercise is just life-changing. Because then you get to start questioning your beliefs. You get to start questioning all the things, all the thoughts that your brain is offering you. Or you can debunk a lot of the nonsense that your brain is telling you. And it just really puts you on a different track to just let it all go. It's like a purging for your brain. Especially if you're feeling guilty about the overspending or if you're feeling, frustrated with yourself about the overspending, doing this thought download really does release a lot of that. And it allows you to really become even more aware of what's going on inside your brain that's causing you to overspend. So number 3 would be to recognize if you try to resist the overspending in the moment. So if you think back to the moment and think of one situation at a time. So you may be thinking, okay, I overspent this month, and that was several different shopping trips. Maybe you spent things online. I want you to take one of those scenarios, one shopping period, one overspending period, and just kind of take yourself back to that moment. If it was in a store, if you were shopping online, whatever it was, take yourself back to that moment and try to retrace your steps to see if you actually tried to resist the urge to overspend, or if you just reacted to it without even thinking, or if you had some thoughts that, was like, you need to get out of here, you need to go away, you need to get out the store. That's kind of trying to resist it. Or if you had the awareness to think, okay, this is an urge. I'm having an urge to overspend. I'm actually going to just go ahead and allow this urge. 9 times out of 10, when you're in that moment, allowing the urge probably never even came to your mind, but maybe you tried to resist it. Maybe you just reacted to it, but it's just really good to kind of know, okay, what was I doing? Was I trying to resist it at all? Or did I just indulge and give in? And that will give you a lot of wisdom that you can take moving forward. So the next time you're in that situation, you can kind of be ready to redirect your brain, right? To allowing the urge versus just reacting to it. And then also, resisting really doesn't work that well either, because that's just using willpower. We really want to get to the place that when we have these urges to overspend against our plans, when we're wanting to spend more than we actually want or need to, we really want to get to the point where we can allow those urges to be there without giving into them and not reacting or resisting. So just recognize what was happening for you in one of those moments. So now at this point, you have a lot of knowledge, right? You are aware, you know what triggered it, you know what you were thinking, you know what you were feeling, and you know if you tried to resist it or if you just reacted, right? You have a lot at this point. And so the next step, which will be step number 4, is to just really learn from all of this information you just gathered, all of this knowledge, all of this data that you now have. Ask yourself, what can you learn from it? How can this new knowledge prevent me from overspending in the future? Right? Now that you're aware of the triggers, now that you're aware of what was going on in your brain and how you were feeling, now that you're aware of the fact that you didn't even try to allow it, you were just in the moment and you just reacted to the urge, what can you learn from all of that? And how can you apply that learning so that you don't do it again in the future? And then number 5 is once you learn your lesson, you forgive yourself. No matter how much you overspent, no matter how much damage, quote unquote, damage you caused, no matter how much credit card debt you put yourself in, no matter how much money you spent, you get to forgive yourself now. Because that moment, those moments, if it was more than one, you now learned from them, right? You're not going to keep repeating the same mistakes, especially if you go through this process that I'm teaching you right now. You will not keep making those same mistakes because you're now becoming conscious. You're now becoming aware of your thinking and your feelings when it comes to overspending, and you are applying all of what you're learning, and you'll be able to take that into the next situation where you will be tempted to overspend. Okay, so number 5 is to forgive yourself. And then number 6 is to remind yourself of your financial goals. Remind yourself of what you're working towards. Remind yourself that, hey, my goal is this or my goal is that. It's not too late. Just because you made a mistake doesn't mean you need to throw your goals away and give up. Nope, you just get right back on track. You get right back on the horse and you keep moving forward. So remind yourself of your goals and why you have those goals. It doesn't matter that you made a mistake. The past is in the past, but your future is wide open and you can forge ahead knowing that you're now a different person because you went through a process of becoming aware and tracing your thinking and then applying everything you learned about those situations to future situations. You will be able to apply all of that to future circumstances. And then after you remind yourself of your financial goals and why you have them, you just simply make a commitment to get back on track and then move forward. That's it. It's that simple. Move forward. Do not give up. Do not quit. Keep moving forward. I hope this was helpful, and I hope to see you on Saturday morning in my Save 2K in 2 months workshop. The registration details, the link to register is in the show notes. So I hope to see you there. Bye-bye. Hey, before you go, if you're ready to create a life with more money and more freedom, then you're invited to join the Wealthy Woman's Academy, my signature coaching program where you'll learn how to take control of your money and build wealth without sacrificing your lifestyle. To get started, head on over to JermaineFoley.com. That's Jermaine with a G, Foley.com. See you there.